Oh, he gave me a kiss.
Oh,
Oh no.
Well, welcome to this week's Travelin' Young. We're Brisket, who's been kind of not a heavy participant lately.
No,
so
he's kind of been hiding out lately.
and he hasn't been with us in a few.
We needed to bring him back.
So he's here. He's still with us.
He would also like to complain about how hot it's been, because this poor man, he's got so much fur and it's black, and it's been so hot.
You know, and we also just totally skipped over his 2-year-old birthday. He was 2 not long ago.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy. 2-year-old Brisket. All right, so this week we're going to talk about our trip to the Netherlands, which you would have seen the video for when we were actually traveling. But in this case, we want to talk about some of the differences and observations we had when visiting the Netherlands, because it's actually got some similarities too, by the way, to Denmark. And we thought it'd be interesting to kind of talk about those things.
Yes.
And let's just say a few things right off the bat, which is the Netherlands is around 41,000 kilometers squared in size. Denmark's 42,000 kilometers squared.
Almost the same.
Very similar in size.
But they have very different population density. The Netherlands has 17.4 million people, whereas Denmark only has 5.8 million.
It's
and
basically
it is
3 times.
Very noticeable.
yeah. And Denmark is got all these islands and stuff.
Yeah.
Netherlands not quite so much.
So
there's this similarity of the size, differences in the amount of people, and that will lead, I think, to some of the things that we're going to talk about, observations about the Netherlands, having lived in Denmark, this week on Travelin' Young. All right, we've lost Brisket. We lost Brisket. I don't know where he went. He's in the other room. Before we start real fast, we want to say that on the 19th of August, this Friday, we're going to have a live stream, and Brisket's on the floor right here, at 8 o'clock to celebrate our 25,000 subscribers and our 2-year anniversary of being on YouTube. I know, and we're almost at 200 videos, actually. We're just a couple away from that. So it's been a ton of milestones. Thank you so much for helping us reach 25,000, and join us this Friday for a live stream with Maya.
Yes.
And we're going to talk and answer questions and just talk about stuff. And maybe what we're going to do.
Brains, as we like to say.
Now this week, what we're going to do is talk about some observations when visiting the Netherlands compared to Denmark. Now, we've never lived there. So in the case of the Netherlands, we're discussing being tourists.
As a tourist.
But we've been, I think, 3 times on vacation there.
Yeah.
This recent one we just took. And then I've been for work 4 or 5 times. There's actually this northern part that we've been to as well. Groningen. And then actually another time where we didn't get to buy anything because we didn't have Maestro cards. That's a whole nother topic that we will not get into. But go with cash if you go into a small Dutch town, or you're going to be out of luck trying to spend money.
No ice cream for you.
But we want to start talking about actually the differences in the major cities. Now, we've lived in Denmark, so we know a lot more about Denmark. But Amsterdam and Copenhagen, capitals. Copenhagen is one of my favorite cities in the world, which is why I love living here.
Yeah.
Amsterdam is the opposite of that. Maybe it's not like my least favorite, but it's Copenhagen, I think, is filled with more locals.
Yeah.
And the tourists that are here tend to be just a different kind of tourists. Some of them are people coming off cruises. I feel like families
more sophisticated.
But the Dutch, I feel sorry for the Dutch. This is not, I'm sure they would say the same thing.
Yeah.
The tourists in Amsterdam they're just like a younger group that are in it to win it. And that's just not my vibe.
But I mean, I honestly felt bad because that's the first time I've gone back after having lived in Denmark. And you could feel like how many people were there. It is so crowded, and it is just a completely different vibe. It's a bit more party town. And I'm a nerd, and I don't like to party, so it's not my thing.
the fantastic news is, from the airport, you can get on a train and get anywhere and go see some other places
Delft.
which are amazing.
Yeah,
Delft,
beautiful.
or Rotterdam, or Utrecht, there's so many cool places outside of Amsterdam. So the rest of the country redeems itself from all the tourists that swarm. I mean, I had a friend back years ago that flew from DC there to go to his bachelor party.
Oh,
I mean,
no,
that's just not my vibe.
No.
So It's almost
That's
like
them.
kind of what's happening to Nashville a little bit, by the way. That's a whole nother. Sorry, Nashville.
Yet another video.
Yeah.
But
All right.
speaking of that, the people though.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't. Amsterdam's not our vibe, but you know what? The people are nice. We like the people in the Netherlands. They're always super friendly.
It reminds me a lot as a tourist when we came here, where people are polite,
very friendly,
speak English well,
Yeah.
help you, very nice. And I also have a couple good friends in the Netherlands that we visited while we were there, and I'm friends with them because they're great people,
Yeah.
and they spent time with us, and they're fun to be around.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of similarities in just the general. I do think, I mean, I guess you wouldn't get this as a tourist. I work with a lot of Dutch, and you have as well. Dutch are a lot more direct.
Yes, they're very direct.
When you're like, not as a tourist, but in the work atmosphere, they're super
very
direct. They're like, their general vibe is, you know what, let's just address a problem immediately. Even if it's uncomfortable, so that we don't have to address it when it's worse down the line. That's a little different than Dave's.
That is very different.
But I think the people very similar.
Yes.
Another thing is like just the general vibe. I feel like when you're outside of Amsterdam, it's just chill. Everybody's like relaxing in the summer. They're embracing the weather.
Yeah.
You see like our hotel in Utrecht, right out the window was this canal, and I saw like I'd be like watching TV and I could see in my peripheral vision
going
these
down.
boats just like feet up,
Just
chilling
having a good
on
time.
the canal on their boat.
I think when we got out of Amsterdam, it felt a lot more like how we feel here in Denmark. It was very similar, like very chill. Everybody just enjoying the summertime, you know, enjoying being around their friends and stuff. And like we'd go have lunches at cafes, and it was super chill, and it was very nice.
Yeah, I met some Danes there who were chilling, just like the Dutch chilling. So, yeah. Now things change a little on these next few items. First of all, and we got to move through these faster.
Yeah, we gotta go fast.
The beer in Denmark is better. Sorry, Dutch. I mean, you've got okay beer, but I think the craft brew scene here, the craft brew scene here is fantastic. Yeah. So I think Danish beer wins a lot of points.
Yeah.
Now, food on the other hand, if we ignore the tippy top.
Yeah.
Nomas of the world, which obviously Denmark is, sets itself apart. But let's go to like normal people food.
There's a lot more options in the Netherlands. Like we had way more choice in what to eat when we were in the Netherlands. And there's lots of food in Copenhagen, but when you go outside,
yeah, I think it's because the amount of people, each of the cities are pretty big.
True.
In Denmark, Copenhagen's big, and then the other cities are quite a bit smaller.
Yeah.
So they can't really support. And I think the further you get from Copenhagen, it's probably more and more, like the population is probably more and more Danish, who probably has...
Yeah, I think there's definitely way more diversity in the Netherlands.
Yeah,
in the general
because there's so many
population.
people there,
Yeah, there's so many people, so it's going to be more diverse. So
and then the food becomes a bit more diverse.
food becomes very much diverse. And there's lots of spicy food, which I really miss.
Now, when it comes to the infrastructure, that's the next point we want to talk about.
Yes.
Real fast, we're aware, I can't remember the name, but I could find it in 2 seconds if I were Googling. I know about this, so people will probably comment about this, but we know about the person who does all these videos about roads and bike lanes and all this stuff in the Netherlands and all these, and it's super interesting. You don't need to tell us about it. And I think it's very interesting, and I think it's tough to tackle when you have three main things. You got drivers, cyclists, and pedestrians. It's hard to get all of them equally safe and equally organized. In my opinion, Denmark does a better job at the pedestrians.
Yeah.
And the Netherlands does a better job with cars in terms of navigating around bikes because bikes are like big in either of these places. And I feel like it's easier as a pedestrian in Denmark to know and understand where the bike lanes are, where you shouldn't go.
Because it's very distinct.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it is in the Netherlands as well, but I feel like it's very noticeable, at least in Copenhagen, where the bike lanes are.
Yeah, I mean, when you get out of Copenhagen...
Not so much.
It's obvious too, but the thing that I don't like about... As a driver, though, in Copenhagen specifically, although this happens in other towns too, there's some places that don't have bike lanes. Oh. Like in Lyngby, you drive down the center road and there's no bike lane, so it's kind of dangerous because it's narrow for cars and bikes. And there's even places in Copenhagen where you're driving and like the right turn lane is also the bike lane merging together. Yeah, it's super complicated. Like they build an infrastructure specifically around bikes in the Netherlands, which makes it, I think, safer for bikes and makes it easier as a motorist to know and understand where the bike lanes are.
You have a bit more security from...
But then as a pedestrian, it feels like there's bike lanes all over the place there. And it's like, where do I walk in?
And that for me, was unsettling. I actually did not like that about the infrastructure in the Netherlands. I did not like the way that the bike lanes were, because there were things everywhere. It was like, am I on a lane? Am I on a car lane or a bike lane, or what am I doing? So, yeah.
Yeah, and they have their own lights in some places that are separate from the car, like completely away from the car lanes.
Way too much visual input for me.
Yeah, so I feel like pedestrians are a little bit better in Denmark, and driving a car is better in the Netherlands in terms of bicyclists and how to navigate around that.
But who needs a car when you have trains?
And there's a lot of
public transit. There's so many trains in the Netherlands. Not that there aren't a lot of trains here. There are, but goodness, there's a huge network there of trains.
Yeah, and the first half of that vacation, we took trains everywhere. We didn't get a car until the second part.
Yeah.
But I also noticed that the cost was adding up very fast. So one problem with the train system there is it's quite expensive for tourists. We were staying in Rotterdam and went one day to Amsterdam and back. And it cost for the two of us 69 euros round trip to go.
Which, that's crazy. I didn't realize it cost that much.
Yeah, it was up there. Yeah. It was basically like 16-ish a person each way. But then if you look at what it costs for us to go from Copenhagen to Helsingør, which is similar in distance, it's around 35 euros for a tourist type ticket, and that's like half the cost. I mean, so I like how the trains are less expensive here, but I do think it's harder and time consuming for sure to get from here to Aarhus and here to other places, because while we're similar in size, Denmark is much more spread out and has all this water separating islands and stuff, so it can be complicated to get some places on trains in Denmark, or like super time consuming.
Yeah. But that's surprising to me that it is so expensive, because they have so many more people. Like, you'd think that in and of itself would subsidize the cost, but I guess not.
Well, I think if you're, if you live there must be like some kind of cheaper tour, like a local car that would.
We need to find that. We have Dutch friends. We need to hit somebody up.
Yeah. So now generally the costs, though, I feel like are somewhat even. Some things cost more here as a tourist. Some things cost less here. Yeah. I felt like it kind of evened out. So it wasn't like dramatically cheaper like some places you go. And it actually felt like I was spending a similar amount of money eating out and all the things that I do as a tourist.
Yeah, I think you and I both had gone at different times doing a little bit of shopping, and we were kind of comparing between, should we buy it here in the Netherlands, or should we just wait and buy it when we're back at home? And there really weren't too many things that we were like, we need to buy it here because it's cheaper. It ended up being about the same. So
yeah. All right, so there you go. Generally, though, I would say we love the Netherlands, and we had such a good time, and we will go back
Always
again
fun.
For sure. So we thought it'd be interesting to share some of this to you. If there's any place in the Netherlands that you love, that you think we should visit, let us know.
If there's any hidden corner that you know about.
If there's a difference that we neglected to mention, I'm sure, let us know down in the comments. And if you didn't see our video when we went to the Netherlands, the link is below. Otherwise, that's it. We got to say goodbye for now. All right. Bye.